All right, so today I woke up and I started trying to basically be more focused on finishing the course that I have, right? And I gave myself the whole day in order to like finish coding the requirements. Uh, Again, in my head, it always feels like, I need to do this, tick, 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 it's done. But with code, it's not the same. Or at the very least, with code, it's a bit more, I think, antsy, right? Because you really have to kind of like give yourself the space, the time, the like, you have to only see the code that's in front of you. I think that's why a whole lot of people kind of like maybe code at night. I don't know. And for me, I'm just like, I'm thinking about how the first 3 hours of coding that I did today were beautiful. Now I'm trying to code and I realize I'm thinking more. And even though I'm actually like just going around the code, I'm perfectly fine. I'm doing fine. I just like a thought popped in my head. And the thought was, is it worth it just because it seems like the person I am when I'm not coding and the person I am when I'm coding. It's like I'm a lot more social when I'm not coding, and I'm a lot less social when I am coding. And I wondered if that's something that has to be like 1 month yes, 1 month no. It can't be more like throughout the day. Like I can code in the day, and like at night I can be different. And social is different. There's a certain kind of becomes a need when I'm coding to kind of like get some form of attention. Becomes like I need to take a break. I need to, I want to, I just kind of like have this one where I go chill and do something for myself and then I go back and code again. But I can't do that when there are people around, I guess, because then I basically start taking that energy, the focused energy, and kind of like putting it on them. So I'm focusing completely on what they're saying and what they have to do. And I think that's basically the best way I could think about it. It's like, and when it comes to like work, it's focused energy. And so far, I'm not really that familiar with focused energy or not really that aware of it because, like, I do it with business when it comes to like business analysis, when it comes to like a lot of stuff, even when it comes to researching to code. Like I beautifully pass the day in a very spending an hour and a half doing something and then a couple of hours doing something else. And I just kind of like jump back and forth. But I think today is kind of like a realization because for some reason, like code for me still is making me feel something. And as positive as it is that I actually look at it and I imagine it and I talk about it, there's still a big hesitation from my part that it's not for me. And I don't see a reason why I can't just. I think what's popping in my mind is literally okay, that could be something nice. When I took the coding cab and I was super energetic and excited to like understand programming and understand just the concepts behind these things. But I was clueless. But I knew like it was built on something. I had no idea what it was, and it's been evolving for 60 years, right? So like I was like completely. I had no idea what it was, and I was just like excited to just be there and actually learn how to code and build websites. How did I imagine it? In all honesty, I as vaguely as possible imagined it to be like I get on and I like 3 hours disappear and I like kind of like write some stuff and suddenly the website's gone and I'm like, oh, I don't want this, I don't want that, and I write some other stuff. But it felt a lot more like I'm actually writing something, like it's a language. Like how the way languages do. There's grammar, there's all that kind of stuff. Uh, and that's probably how the bash works. And the bash is the command palette. I don't know if anyone knows it, but like, every click you do is some form of function that asks the computer to do something. It's like it's an event that happens that you go and ask the computer to do something. So I imagine it's literally like lines. And it just didn't work because when I actually started coding, it was like, so I have to tell the computer to carry this and take it there. And I thought I have to write like 3 lines. But the reality is I kind of have to draw every piece and build on that, which was beautiful because in my head there was like, oh my God, like There's a full-blown construction process, build process, design, architecture process, and that's the stuff I didn't know. But so like I was more excited on the concepts and less kind of like focused on the code the way the actual like the others were just completely focused on the code. They were and they'd follow a code online and they'd be able like I just wouldn't be able to follow the code online, not for any other reason, but because no whatever they're doing is actually working, but I don't know why it's working. And the whole writing the code with them part, like I kind of missed on that. Like it is very important and missed on that. But I don't think I wanted that. Like I kept resisting or rejecting that to be the way I learned code. I did not want to learn code the way everyone else does, which is like to write down how other people are coding. And the reason for that is because I think you lose a sense of your own self, of how you would do things. I really wanted that the building process of how I code to be something designed completely by me. And it was a selfish, random thing to say, probably, like, because if I had built it the way they did, I'd have a code base, and then every time I come back to it, I'll be able to kind of like learn something new, which is practically how everything happens. But right now, my frustrations are a lot heavier, I would say. It's because even when people were actually teaching me, I was a more do-it-yourself kind of guy. I just wanted the community support and people to ask people questions. Like, this is what I'm trying to do. What are you talking about? Have you heard this? Have you heard that? And I really just wanted to kind of like get excited for this kind of shit. So over the course of the past year, I was kind of like doing that the way I do everything. More consistently, I read about code. I watch lectures about code. Like I got involved in how basically the community talks, how they think. And it's very important because like documentation are literally how they talk. Uh, like I evolved in the whole programming slash coding scene and the thought process and the things that I wanted to do. But the practical sense that I have is still kind of like being built. And so, in a way, every time I actually want to code, I feel like it's a completely different experience, but it's exactly the same experience that I would have when I'm thinking of business analysis. It's the exact same experience I would have when I'm trying to write something. It's the same experience I have when I'm trying to watch a lecture and take notes. It's the same fucking experience. It's me entering focus mode and entering the whole thought process and just kind of like intentionally looking at something and wanting it to be done. And then, but for because it's code, and I kept remembering when I was actually like, uh, see, I believe everyone could actually like figure anything out, but it all depends on the teacher. And for me, I was very specific, like answer my question so I understand how dumb my question is. And it's funny because like there's an episode I was watching once, and like a guy was responding to a dumb question, but it was like perfect because these are the questions that I wouldn't ask. But these are the questions that I've answered. Like it's a dumb question. It's literally a question about something that I should know. But the reason I don't know it is because something bigger kind of interested me. So when the time came and I was focused on the bigger thing, the smaller thing was not really clicking, but that would be the joint for everything to kind of explode. And a guy was talking about it, the guy I follow on YouTube, like super cool guy when it comes to that. I love the way he speaks. He speaks about the web in a very beautiful way. His terminology is just amazing, and everything for him is kind of like a description of how it's connected and how it's moving, and why it makes sense and why it's slow. So like he's actually a pro, and in a way, him actually saying like dumb questions are a requirement of every single person entering the company. And everyone gets three dumb questions a day. Like they have to think of something stupid to ask, even if they don't have anything stupid, they have to. And his reasoning is there's a lot of stuff that needs to be flushed out of the way and needs to be literally like confronted. Like I'm asking a question, it's probably dumb. I probably already know it halfway through, or I've read it 500 times, but I'm asking you because you answering is going to be a lot more in my head, in my face. It's going to be a lot more embarrassing, maybe. And I felt that once in the programming course. And so when the time came, the professor didn't at all encourage me to kind of continue. In fact, if anything, he was discouraging me from continuing, and he was like encouraging me to just like go look at my strengths and find the things that I actually am good at, and then maybe now you understand enough to work with programmers. I don't know if a part of me is taking that as a challenge or has ever taken that as a challenge. I didn't intensely start jumping into this, but I knew what I wanted to do and I started moving towards it. And I basically kept doing it, but it always kept feeling off. So maybe this video is the perfect way for me to kind of like look at myself and be like, when it comes to coding, I do not necessarily change. It's just my focus kind of spreads for longer periods of time because I am thinking about the same thing more than I would want for a longer time, more than I would want. Exactly. So basically, even though I won't be actually coding for these 2 hours, when I leave the code, I would also be thinking about like stuff that I coded and whether I did good or not, or if there's something else I have to do. I feel with coding, don't really detach well. And it's probably because I am afraid that if I detach, I forget some stuff or something. But the reality is, all it takes is 30 minutes. And after 2 weeks not coding, man, uh, actually, after like a month not coding, I haven't coded anything in a month. I'm doing the class, but it's not really like thinking in code, right? After a month, it took me like 30 minutes to kind of warm up and like figure everything out again. So I don't know. Maybe I should just be cool with myself and just not allow old feelings to stick around. Yeah, thank you guys.